Hi everybody, today I'm in Utah. I just got done driving 16 hours from Missouri to Utah, and we have some time to kill before we go to our Airbnb in Saratoga Springs. And so I wanted to show my kids the salt flats. As you may or may not know, I grew up here in Utah, lived here all the way until my wife and I got married, and it has been a long time since I've been here. This sign says, "Welcome to the Salt Flats West Rest Area." So this is the Bonneville Salt Flats. It's about, I can't remember what it was. I think it was about an hour and 20 minutes, maybe an hour and a half from Salt Lake. And although this isn't a church site, it is really close to the headquarters of the church, and I feel like it's a pretty special area. I'm not the first one, of course, to give commentary about Salt Lake City and how you have the Great Salt Lake and salt, and how salt is a symbol in the scriptures. The Savior uses salt in his parable about, well, it wasn't a parable necessarily, but he said that we need to not lose our savor. We're like the salt of the earth. And so really close, like relatively close to church headquarters, you have this gigantic area of salt, and then the Salt Lake, just like the Dead Sea near Jerusalem in Israel. But let's go ahead and read this. Welcome to the Bonneville Salt Flats, in Utah's famed measured mile site of world land speed record runs. Excuse me. Utah's famed measured mile is located approximately 7 miles beyond this marker, well in front of the mountains you see on the horizon. And sorry, you guys, I'm not going to walk 7 miles. I don't think I'll be walking 7 miles to go see that. The total length of the course that includes the measured mile varies from year to year, but for recent runs it has been laid out in a path 80 feet wide and approximately 10 miles long, with a black reference stripe down the middle. Due to the curvature of the earth, it is impossible to see from one end of the course to the other. Timing of world land speed record runs is under the jurisdiction of the United States Automobile Club. World land speed record times represent an electronically timed average of 2 runs over the measured mile within a 1 hour time period, 1 run in each direction. The first world land speed record on the Bonneville Salt Flats was set on September 3rd, 1935 by Sir Malcolm Campbell. Excuse me. His speed was 301.13 miles per hour. Craig Breedlove holds the honor of being the first man to go faster than 400, 500, and 600 miles per hour. His record of 600.601 miles per hour, set on November 15th, 1965, was finally broken on October 23rd, 1970 by Gary Gabelich. Gabelich's new record is 622.407 miles per hour. Both Gabelich, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I guess either way I am, because I'm giving 2 pronunciations. Rocket engine, Blue Flame, and Breedlove's jet-powered Spirit of America were equipped with specially designed inflatable tires, pre-tested to speeds in excess of 800 miles per hour. Yeah, and I know that there's more on that. You know, I want to say that, like, the rules for breaking the speed record is, like, you know, to be a car, the tires all have to be on the ground, so you can't go airborne and still call it a land record. And I think that was a challenge in the design of these quote-unquote cars. But it is pretty neat that that took place here. I don't know if it's physically possible to go beyond that, or if there's somebody that's trying, but it's pretty impressive. I seriously think the last time that I was here was like in my early marriage. So we're talking, well, let me think. My daughter was born by this point. So it was probably 2009, 2010, something like that. It's been a long, long time. And I hope, I mean, definitely if you live in Utah, Nevada, Idaho, that you come here, if you haven't been here already. It's like stepping onto an alien world. You know, where else on earth looks like this? Now, I do know that these aren't the only salt flats in the world. I think there are some in California. I don't know if they're near the Salton Sea in Southern California. You'll have to let me know. When I lived in South Central Kansas, we had, just south of Kansas in Oklahoma, there was something called the Salt Plains, and we tried to go there a couple times, but things kept getting in the way. The first time we went there, the whole area was closed off because there was a movie crew. They were shooting something. Well, I don't know if it was a movie or a TV show or what. Maybe it was a commercial, but there were people that had permits and had reserved the whole area, so we couldn't go. It was a little bit upsetting. And then after that, just all these things got in the way. So I don't know how much the Oklahoma Salt Plains look like this. I will say one thing. Growing up in Utah, everyone knows about the salt flats, and usually you come out here for, like, well, back when the church did scouts, you'd come out here for maybe a scouting activity or young men's or young women's. And the salt flats are a popular place to film because it looks so otherworldly. And I think a lot of people here in Utah, and I used to do this, but I think everybody kind of assumes, oh yeah, that's at the salt flats, the Bonneville salt flats. But I don't think that's the case every time. I mean, I just mentioned how there were people filming in Oklahoma at the salt plains, so I'd be curious to know how many like salt flats, salt plains there are in you know, the United States and in the world. But I'm so glad that, well, I was gonna say I guess I'm not part of we anymore since I moved out of Utah, but I'm glad that we have them here in Utah to enjoy. So definitely come out here if you can. Maybe to make it worth your time, when you go west of Salt Lake, just around the point of the mountain, you have Tooele, and that's where the Deseret Peak Utah Temple is. It's the 200th temple of the church. In fact, right after this, as we head back to Salt Lake, I'm going to go and make a video there. So I'll show you that in the next video. Because it was a milestone, President Nelson dedicated it himself. And so, you know, you could go to the temple, you can come out here. If you keep, so right now it's morning, so we're looking east. But if you keep going west on I-80, it takes you to Wendover, which is essentially, it's almost like a mini Las Vegas. I doubt things have changed since I've moved, But at least back when I lived here, gambling was illegal. I'm sure that it still is. And so people that want to gamble, instead of going all the way down to Las Vegas, which I think is like a 6-hour drive, I can't remember at this point, it's been so long, but instead of going that far, they just drive, you know, like an hour and a half west of Salt Lake on the weekend and go to this mini Las Vegas in the city of Wendover. There's, you know, there's a few casinos and stuff with all the typical things. They have shows, and there's restaurants and everything that goes along with a casino. Man, at this rate, we are gonna get to that, the thing that we're reading, the mile marker or whatever it was called. But yeah, I love it here. You know, you see places like this all the time, on TV, in movies, computer games, video games, and it's so satisfying to actually be in one of these places, like to physically be here. Now I don't think it's happening right now. Let me look at my shoe. Other times that I've been here, the salt really starts to get caked onto the bottom of your shoe. It doesn't look like it's happening too much this time. And I want to say the last time I was here, you didn't have these, whatever you'd call it, these like salt formations. I think it's like that because it's been raining, but I could be totally wrong. If you have more experience, then let me know in the comments. But I think typically when it's not wet, it's more just flat, and you don't have these like ridge honeycomb features. But I'm glad that it's like this today, so I could show you, because I think it makes it look more interesting. But I don't know, I'm so happy to be able to come here again. Nostalgia. So while I'm here, I'm gonna film as much as I possibly can. We're here for a few different reasons. I'm going to like a social media meeting with some people. I was able to get permission to go and film inside the conference center and the assembly hall. Oh no, sorry, the tabernacle, and maybe we'll do the assembly hall too. I can't remember, I'll have to check the email. But I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna meet up with friends that live here and family as well. And but I'm gonna try and record as many church sites as I possibly can. I'm gonna go to all the places that I just mentioned. I also want to just do Temple Square in general. I want to go up to Ensign Peak. I want to go to as many temples as I can. And then I don't know if I'll be able to film at This Is the Place Memorial and Park. Sorry, I don't know what it's called exactly, but there's like the memorial, but there's also this like park where there's like these I don't know if they're all replicas. Maybe some of them are original, but you know, it's like a little village, kind of like what things were like here when the Saints first entered the valley, or like, you know, shortly after, as they started to establish themselves here. And then there's like some smaller markers. There's one near where I used to live, at the very end, like at the very south end of 300 East. I don't know if it's church related or if it's just like a general historical marker, but I never really paid attention to it as I was growing up, and it's really obscure. But now that I'm doing this channel, I'm all about this stuff. So I'm gonna go solve that mystery and see what that marker is. And maybe I'll kick myself not knowing that all this time, you know, that marker was like some really interesting thing. I pretty much grew up in that house. We moved there when I was 3, and I lived there all the way until I got married. So yeah, I'm gonna go check it out. But yeah, sorry, I can't get enough of this. I'm so glad that we got here at this time as well, because the sky is just amazing, because it's morning, it's sunrise right now. So beautiful. It's interesting though, because even though we're here and this is my home, like my hometown is in Murray, and lived here still the majority of my life. We haven't gotten to the halfway point yet of my life, living outside of Utah. Even with all that, you know, both times that I've come here recently, I haven't really like missed it necessarily. Like, I'm not like, oh man, I wish that, you know, I was back here. It's definitely nostalgic, so I miss it in that way. But like, let's just put it like this. I would have thought before leaving Utah, I would have thought that I would definitely miss Utah and want to come back. And that's not necessarily the case. I would love to come back, like maybe in another life, but especially now that I live in Independence, in this place that in my mind was just kind of like almost like a mythical place. And as I've been able to explore it and explore Missouri, like I don't know, for right now I'm really happy with where we're at. But I don't know what the future holds. I do know that I'll be coming back to Utah multiple times. I'm thinking like maybe once a year. But next year I want to go down to St. George, and I also want to go to Vegas. I'd like to film down there too. I'd like to go to Brigham Young's, what is it, his winter home or his summer home? I can't remember which. I want to film the St. George Utah Temple, Red Cliffs Utah Temple. In Vegas, I don't know if I'd be able to film there, but you have the old Mormon fort that's on the Strip. I mean, it's not with the casinos, but it's on Las Vegas Boulevard. If you didn't know, it was members of the church that essentially, and maybe like indirectly, started Las Vegas. And that fort, I think, was a big part of it. My understanding is that the Saints needed kind of like a halfway point between Salt Lake and Los Angeles, I think. And so they chose the Vegas area. And from there, it just over time it grew. And we have a lot of good, solid members of the church in Vegas. I love Vegas. We have some of Jenica's family there, and we have friends there. So I want to go there. But, you know, okay, let me say this. It is a little bit of a breath of fresh air being out west again. I love all the greenery. You know, I love all the greenery of Missouri. I love Kansas. Remember, I lived in Kansas for 5 years, and I love how like flat Kansas is, and not just for like an area this size, but like, I mean flat, like statewide. I like that, but at the same time, you know, it's just different here. I love both. They're different, and I love both. I love the Midwest, I love the West, I love the Southwest. I'm sure a lot of you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm rambling too much, so I think I'm gonna end it here. I'll talk to you guys later.